It has taught me to say, Lord, without you, I can do nothing. And it has taught me to really love people through the love of Jesus Christ.
I didn't really have a great experience growing up at church. Coming into GCC and seeing the ways that these college students and the way that everyone around me worshiped, it felt like I was missing something. And so if it wasn't for GCC and feeling jealous of the relationship that they had with Jesus and something that I didn't have at the time, I really wouldn't have been a Christian.
Living for Jesus is the most worthwhile thing I can do. And it's not just because GCC taught about it, but it's because here I saw people really strive to live that out.
He is faithful. He is faithful to answer prayers, and he is a faithful father, and he is a patient father who doesn't mind reassuring us in our times of need.
Throughout the years, I have learned that our God is faithful, that he is good, and that his love endures forever.
God is a God who is faithful, a God who heals, and a God who loves us.
Something I've learned about God's character during my time in GCC is that he is good and that he is faithful and that he is close to those that he is pruning.
Strong relationships in their families, in the parents and children, in friendships. I feel that the relationships are strong and they are long-lasting.
I think God has blessed GCC through his faithfulness to the many different generations that have come through the church.
One of the spiritual fruits is that people genuinely, wholeheartedly seek after the Lord.
Pastor Ashok was carrying the Olympic torch to go light the official flame for the mini Olympics. So he's leaning the torch to try to light this other thing that's sitting on a table, and the whole thing just falls over and the table lights on fire. I know it should be like more of a blessing moment, but that was just something that really stuck in my memory.
Watching college students take communion right after college retreat, because whether they've accepted Christ 10 years ago or even during retreat, I love being able to watch us all take part in that communion together and be a family.
We were both baptized at GCC.
I was baptized in the spring of '07.
And I during Easter of '09.
Growing up, the New Year's Eve service, because it was the only time I got to stay up until 3 a.m. And then after it was over, my mom would make this huge pot of my favorite soup, tteokguk, and it just felt like one big family. It was this moment where the whole church would come together and eat a meal to start the new year. And I just remember as a kid that being really special to me.
These are the days when we used to go to Kinko's, print out, bulletins and things like that, and post it up all over Penn. And, we were doing this week in and week out. And, I remember us praying for a Xerox machine. One day I remember the doorbell rang and we went to the door and it was the postman, and he literally had this huge box. And, in that box was a Xerox machine. But that's just one example, I feel like, of so many prayers that were answered, and literally, miracles of God that we saw happening.
Every year we get to send out short-term missions teams and one-year interns. And I love sending them out, but I love when they come back because they always come back with these really powerful testimonies of experiencing God, and to know that God is so real and so powerful, and that God really does invite us to know him and make him known throughout the world.
One of my favorite memories at GCC is Passion 2012. I wasn't a believer yet, and I'm standing there. It's like the second, third hour of worship. And I felt like that's one of the first times I heard God, and he was showing me the depths of my sinfulness, but also the abundance and completeness of his grace. And I was like, Holy Spirit instantly transformed my heart. And I was like, God is real.
Plunge right in, don't hesitate, step out of your comfort zone, really get to know people. I think there's so much that our community has to offer.
One of the ways that I've been blessed during my time at GCC is just by getting to know some of the incredible people here. And for me, one of the best places to meet folks is through family group. It's where I found a ton of encouragement, friendship, and it makes lunchtime on Sundays a lot less awkward.
You are going to find your next best friend here. So take a risk, say hello to someone, get plugged into family group, join a ministry that you're interested in. You will find people that you will love for a very, very long time here.
Whatever you have, talents, personalities, bring everything, and I think together we'll allow God to purify it so that we can all be formed into the image of His Son together. So bring what you got.
GCC is a great church because God is a great God. I would also tell them GCC is not a perfect church because you joined the church. No, because the pastor has flaws, our community has flaws, but I think God has called us to be a great and mighty church for the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that you will find a church that really wants to be vulnerable before the Lord and seek the Lord with all our heart, mind, and soul.
My hope and my prayer for GCC is that God continues to use this church for His kingdom, that He builds a strong and unified body of believers that really overflow with His love and be able to share that to the communities around us to spread His gospel.
Moving forward, we would be a church that doesn't just rely on our past habits or practices or religious events, but that we would really be a church that relies on the Spirit of God, His power, and His guidance for everything that we do.
My prayer and hope for GCC is that we would have this sort of holy discontentment, meaning that as we get to know the Lord and grow more in love with Him, it wouldn't create this plateau or this desire for comfort or wanting to stay there. But it's my hope that we would see that, experience that, and say, God, we want more of you, and we want to be able to experience more of you and love you even more every single day of our lives.
My hope and prayer for GCC is that it would continue to be a church in the university city in Philadelphia, to be a church that really impacts people's lives, to share about what it looks like to have a real intimate relationship with Jesus, that it wouldn't just be some kind of fairy tale of a story of the gospel, but it would really be a reality that anyone can live in.
My hope and prayer is that just as the past 25 years, we've seen God move in mighty ways, with many people being changed and sent out from Philadelphia to be kingdom workers, that God will continue to do the same thing, that more and more people will experience Jesus' love and be sent out to influence the world for His kingdom.